It's a win, but it hurts. What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? Nathan and Alan here. We are your Hill Brothers, and we are fresh off North Carolina getting their first win of the season. Bill Belichick's first win as a college head coach, 20-3 against the Charlotte 49ers. This is a game that had a 30-minute delay due to some weather, but Carolina came out and on the first drive looked absolutely amazing. Once again,
Sure
was able to score right off the rip. Score a touchdown pass to Chris Culliver, who looked really good throughout the night, and hopefully he's going to be okay moving forward. Keep an eye on him to see how he ultimately ends up doing. But Alan, quick reactions off of tonight after watching Carolina play 4 quarters of football.
Well, North Carolina won. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
They won by 17, 20-3. And we'll never know how much Bill Belichick had his coordinators, take their foot off the gas. It looked like after that, the first half when they went down and drove the ball 80 some odd yards, went up and got the touchdown right before halftime. Then they came out in the second half, and that second half, really bogged down. A lot of running plays. Now, whether that was said in halftime, hey, we're going to run the ball this half, whether it's successful or not, we'll never know. You'll never know. You might get some answers. I'm not sure. But so from that point of view, it don't look good. That doesn't, to me personally, that doesn't look good. Against a team like that, you want to get those style points. I'm not saying that North Carolina's got to go hang 70. To me, that's kind of ridiculous. Put in the water boy once it gets to like 50. Because at that point, what are we really doing? So yeah, I wish the score was a little more. I predicted it to be a little more. I think I predicted it to be 35. I think North Carolina easily could have got to 35 if they'd probably passed the ball more. They was having a lot of success passing the ball early in the first half. I mean, heck, Charlotte gave up 400 yards through the air to App State. And I think North Carolina is still searching for somebody that can consistently rush the passer. Connor Harrell had a lot of time back there, and at times it showed. And just quick overall. That wasn't too quick, but yeah, that's my pretty much overall thoughts on it. Glad they won.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversation, and I want to kind of save play calling and everything towards the back half of this because that's going to be the biggest conversation for me, at least. I'm not a fan of Freddie Kitchens today, to say the least. But defensive side of the ball, Marcus Allen played a much better game than he had against TCU. A much better game. Now, wasn't a world-beating game, but much better. Him and Thaddeus looked like they flipped sides of the field. It looked like Thaddeus was pretty much on Sean Brown the entire time, which makes a lot of sense because Sean Brown is a go-to guy for this Charlotte offense. But the defensive line has got to do a better job of getting home. Now, for Melcart, I thought Melcart played a great game. The unfortunate part is, dude, he was held like crazy tonight. It was astronomical at the amount of calls that could have been thrown that were not for him. Where he almost got home. I felt like Dante Robinson really started to shine a little bit, coming up through the center right there at the tackle position. I thought he did a really good job. There was some moments where he flashed there. Mekhi Bear, another guy that is consistently showing up for North Carolina. Now, coming out of camp, or in the middle of camp when we talked to AJ, he talked about how Mekhi Bear was as a guy that this team thought, and the coaching staff thought could be an NFL guy. And I'm starting to see where that is coming from. Komari House
had an interception.
Andrew Simpson, had an interception that was called back. But Andrew Simpson and Komari House, both again guys that are consistently flashing for this defense. Thaddeus Dixon had a great game. The only play that he did not do a very good job on was the pass that was almost a touchdown in the end zone. Caught a little flat-footed, but if
That
you're
could have been
only
big.
it definitely could have been big. But he's only been called out once, and I'll take that in 8 quarters of football. Yeah, I would take that if I'm him, for sure. The running back room definitely saw a full rotation tonight, from Caleb Hood to Charleston French, who got in there pretty early, to Davion Goss, a bullet who scored a touchdown tonight, and then also Demon June. And Demon June is a conversation for North Carolina moving forward, because boy, did he not flash tonight. Just to run some stats by you guys, North Carolina, their game leaders, this is the North Carolina stat leaders, passing. Gio had 155 yards passing, 17 to 25 for a touchdown. He early on in the first half, he had 120. So there's only about 30 yards passing in the second half total, which is crazy to think about. Demon June led all rushers with 9 carries for 52 yards. Chris Culliver had 74 yards receiving, 3 receptions for a touchdown. Andrew Simpson got the sack. We have a sack leader now. And Mekhi Bayer, 4 solo tackles, but 6 total credited tonight for North Carolina. I thought that was huge for them. On the Charlotte 49ers side, Connor threw for 140 yards, 17 to 29. Gainey Jr., the running back, was their rushing leader with 15 yards on 6 carries. They used a few different running backs out there. Their go-to CJ Stokes, also Henry, I think it was Henry Reynolds, and then also Gainey as well out there for Charlotte. The receiving leaders, 122 yards, was Nicholas, number 6, with 11 receptions. He was chirping big time tonight, back and forth with a few different players, and then he got rocked by Thaddeus Dixon, and then you kind of heard him shut up after that. That you didn't hear too much out of him for the rest of the night. He got rocked by Thaddeus, and he come up and was doing this whole number right here, and I think he was pretty much done from that. He was really tired there towards the end of the game, you could tell. But tackles leader, none other than the former Tar Heel himself, Jaquarius Conley, had 6 total tackles, 4 solo.
Good for him, tonight. Man. I'm glad he's playing football again.
I'm really glad for him, dude. 2 turnovers for Charlotte. Honestly, could have had a lot more. There were a couple of bad snaps, or more than a couple. One of them, Kamari House almost came up with, because he had gotten to the passer so quick. By the time the ball was snapped, Kamari House was, a yard off of Connor Harrell. He could have easily have gotten that. But think about it. Team stats tonight. You ready?
Yep.
Guess how many first downs for North Carolina that they earned tonight?
12.
Close. 15. Guess how many for Charlotte?
18.
21. Our 15 first downs to their 21. Third down efficiency, and this is a big number. North Carolina 5 for 15. They went 1 of 2 on 4th downs, and Charlotte went 7 of 16 on 3rd downs, 0 of 1 on 4th down. Total yards for North Carolina, 300 to Charlotte's 271. Total passing yards, this is including Grayson Loftus, 250 for Charlotte tonight. A lot of that come in garbage time, where the defense is just kind of playing back a little bit. So obviously some of those numbers get inflated a little bit, but still 250 yards passing. There are 155. There was no Max Johnson tonight. Nobody else outside of Gio, who played the full game. Thought he played well tonight. Gio Lopez, in my opinion, showed poise and showed, some of the reasons why you went out there and got him.
Yeah, you got to see some of the scrambling ability tonight, which is crazy to say, coming, having to play against a group of 5 team or an FCS team. Is this an FCS team? No, it's a group of 5. They're in the American Richmond FCS opponent.
Now, one thing for North Carolina that is a very good stat. Now, I didn't feel this way. And honestly, as I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm kind of surprised, but because it didn't feel this way. North Carolina rushing They earned 4.5 yards per rush on this defense, or on this defense.
Mm-hmm.
They gained 4.5 yards per rush. Didn't really feel that way. A couple of big runs helped them out. They rushed for 145 yards total throughout the night.
How many carries?
32. 29 carries for Charlotte. They earned a total of 21 yards rushing. That's what they're credited for. And only gained per rush 0.7 yards per rush. That didn't feel that way at all. Hey, am I the only person who thinks that?
I mean, I don't recall Charlotte ripping off like a bunch of 7-8 yarders. Now, I will be curious if that is, it's probably sack adjusted. So the one sack, it was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
And two, the snaps over Connor's head or wherever they went, over his head, in between his legs. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I wonder if those yards count negatively in the rushing column as well, which could really skew the stat, which is typically how it goes.
Right.
But at the same time, outside of maybe like the first quarter, I don't remember Charlotte, really ever running on North Carolina.
Yeah, there was a
Not
couple
the
of
way.
times where they kind of got loose a little bit. I know there was at least one 12-yarder.
Yeah.
That was when Charlotte was streaking and looking like they were getting ready to go score and put the pressure on and to go tie the ball game up, and ultimately was not able to. And that ended up being the Liam Boyd shanked field goal there for Charlotte, which ended up being huge.
Kicker.
Former UNC kicker, still playing for the Tar Heels, as you mentioned throughout the watch party there. But tonight, in my opinion, is a win, yes, but it's an ugly one, and it's not pretty. And you answered some questions, and there's some things that are moving in the right direction, but there are some things that are still a glaring problem. And this is where I want to stick out. We've talked about the defensive side. We've talked about all that. I want to start talking about the offensive play calling. I'm sorry. Freddie Kitchens, in my opinion, and people may be different on this, to see, and to me, it's the arrogance of multiple screen passes that go for no gain, and yet you run them again and again and again, and you're stifling your offense because Charlotte's sniffing it out easy. It's not like they're hiding it well. They're sniffing it out. We were calling it while we were live on the watch party. And to see this offense consistently, and I mean consistently, being, if a fire is starting to ignite, they snuff out the flame with these dumb play calls. And it's ridiculous. And I posted during the watch party, I said, Freddie Kitchens, after this, I'm sorry, but Freddie Kitchens has to go. And to see, I said, the stupidity and the consistent stupidity of the play calling is beyond ridiculous. I don't understand where. Even when like Demon June bailed you out on 3rd and 11 after we had ran 3 straight times. We decided to run some more. Straight running. Just run. Needed to go score. Needed to go do something. And we're just running the football. And Demon June bails you out, so you just continue to keep running, and they halt you, and they stop a run. When you're playing a team with a capable offense, they're going to go down and they're going to take that momentum and they're going to go score. That's what TCU did. TCU is the perfect picture that if we keep playing offense and if Freddie Kitchens keeps calling the offense like he did tonight and he did against TCU, if he continues this way when North Carolina gets into the ACC play, especially with some of the high. I mean, think about it: 30 points both for Virginia and NC State today. Duke dropped 19. Okay, that wouldn't have won the ball game against North Carolina tonight.
Yeah, but they're playing what, number 11 Illinois,
Right.
So there's a difference
But
there.
right, but teams in our conference like Miami, Cal, these guys are dropping high numbers. You've got to be able to compete with some of this. And your defense isn't good enough currently right now with the game planning and everything to be able to stop these offenses. You got bailed out a few times tonight by some balls going over Connor Harrell's head, a missed kick, a touchdown that was almost caught but dropped. You cannot go out here and consistently say, okay, we're just going to run the ball. That's what we're going to do. We talked about it during the live watch party, and then after this, I'll kick it to you and let you talk about it. But if you want to be a team like a Michigan or an Ohio State or a Georgia or these teams that are known for running the football, that's all good and grand. Go recruit, go to the transfer portal, build up your team to where they fit that scheme. But this season, you got what you got. And if you want to go win football games, you've got to build a game plan that best suits the strengths of this team. Clearly, wide receiver and running back screens ain't it. And running the ball 7-8 times straight ain't it. You got to figure out something else.
Not until you get some road graders.
Right. And which Demon June looked like he could potentially be the next. Go ahead.
Yeah, Demon June looked good, but you got to have some road graders in front of him. It's funny that you mentioned Michigan. Michigan's at Oklahoma, and they're getting knocked out by the run. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the play calling, man. It left something to be desired, I guess you could say. Like what could the second half look like if it was called like the first half? You know what I'm saying? Could you have gotten to that 40-point mark, maybe that 35-point mark? I don't know, man. It don't make sense. And it happened in one game against TCU. Now it's happened in a game, 2 games against Charlotte. So on graph paper, you put a dot, and then that's 1 dot as game 1. You put another dot, and it's on the same, and then you connect it. Well, that's a line. Then depending on what they do the next game, that's what you're going to start calling as a pattern. So if this is a pattern, then either Bill Belichick is okay with it and he's letting it be, or Bill Belichick's just not saying anything and he's going to be like, that's Freddie Kitchens' offense. And then it comes back to the whole scapegoat comment.
I would be very surprised if I would be shocked at Bill Belichick if he's just not saying anything. He's like, oh, it's whatever, because that's a Mac Brown thing.
Right. But
seeing Bill on the sideline tonight when he would get pissed off at certain things, I'm like, okay, that's not something Mac would do.
Oh. Sorry. No, that's, I've seen Mac get mad on the sidelines, but, then he's cool, calm, and collected after the fact. I guess you're just going to have to, it's game 2 of a brand new era, brand new staff, and I guess you're just going to have to wait against another 7 days to see what kind of offense rolls out against Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that North Carolina is just going to go air raid like with Sam Howell and Drake May. That's not going to be the offense, period. But running the ball into the ground 32 times, which and not being that successful. And okay, so yeah, you threw more passes because a screen pass is a pass,
Yeah.
but it's essentially an extended run,
Yeah.
and those weren't successful either.
Mm-mm.
So maybe I don't know, man. It's baffling. I don't like it. Maybe I don't like it because that's not the type of North Carolina football we're seeing, and
We're watching
as
Big
fans,
Ten North Carolina.
and I think as fans, we're used to one like a high flying offense and no defense. It's a new era in North Carolina football. Maybe who knows? Maybe this is just something that North Carolina fans are going to have to get used to. I mean, if you're running it at 4.5 yards per carry, that's pretty good in where I'm from. You know, 4.5 yards a carry. I mean, that's almost 5 yards. I mean, 2 rushes, and that's a pretty daggum near a first down. So, um, yeah, I mean, there was some weird play calls like 3rd and 1, running the ball and getting stopped, then going for it on 4th and 1 and throwing a deep go ball. That was interesting. Me personally, I probably would have flipped those. I'd have threw the go ball on 3rd and 1. Then if I knew I was going for it on 4th down, I would run it on the 4th down.
Right.
But that's neither here nor that. But
And
it is what it
there was a
is.
couple of goal balls that he threw, but both of them that he threw to Vari Green that I would not have thrown because Vari Green
Yeah,
did not have his defender beaten.
yeah.
And
And you
Vari's
could
not a big body receiver.
he could have been hunting a PI call there. Just those
That's
two
true.
balls.
Very true.
It's possible, but the ball has to be it has to be a more competitive football. I would, by more competitive football, I mean it has to be closer to the receiver, closer to the play.
Hmm.
It can't be 5 yards over his head or behind him or whatever. And maybe you get that PI call, um, or maybe that's just the play they called and that's what he saw and when he ran it. Um, who knows? But I'm glad North Carolina won. North Carolina's 1-1. You're on the winning track. Get back to practice. This will be their first legitimately full week of practice since the TCU game. Get in there, correct some things, come out Saturday at 3:30. I think is when they play Richmond.
Yeah.
Um,
And in my
and see what
opinion, they
stand
played
up and get it up.
definitely. Yeah, they played definitely better than they did against TCU. But there's still, like you said, a lot to be desired, and that's kind of where we are on this thing. So I'll be
Yeah,
very curious to see, and I'll be there live for this one when they face against Richmond. What kind of a football team is going to show up in Chapel Hill
yeah,
on Saturday at 3:30, um, and how does this offense roll? And the defense needs to continue to build, and this thing's really because our back seven can be elite, but if they're left on an island for way too long, somebody's bound to get open somewhere. That's
hmm
just the game. So
and
if
that's what
this
happened at that.
defensive
That's what
line,
happened to Thad.
right, if the defensive line can generate some type of pressure, and they can figure out different ways to bring guys off the edge to generate some pressure, and or maybe throw a stunt or something to generate some pressure and put some of these quarterbacks on their heels. Richmond is going to be Richmond.
Yeah,
That's the FCS team. UCF will be another thing.
no,
Um,
yeah, that'll be the first test since TCU.
right. And then think about it. When you get Clemson back at home, Clemson struggled mightily against Troy today. And
Yeah,
they
I think
don't
they'll be
have
ready.
a ton of. I mean, they got some games guaranteed. Clemson, that is, they got some games guaranteed to come up.
Yeah, they're coming up into a
But
2-game stretch. It's going to be pretty brutal.
yeah. So I mean, Carolina's got to figure out. It's got some answers to, or some questions they need to get answers to, but they got a few answers tonight.
Mm.
This is like they're working on the study guide. They're working. You know, they went through the textbook and they found their answers, and they can write down the study guide. That way, they can prepare for the big exam. Um, and that big exam's coming on down the season. Bill Belichick said himself, they're still in evaluation mode. Clearly a ton of players out there tonight, which is expected.
Yeah.
They are still evaluating, which is something that we have to get used to as fans. But also, he said about game 5, 6, 7, somewhere in that area, you should kind of start to know who you are. That'd be the
No, he was
game.
speaking of NFL terms.
Right. In NFL terms, that's who you should know. So if we're going based off of that track, then by Clemson, Cal, Virginia, you should know who you are and what you're good at.
If you don't know me personally, if you don't know what this team is by the end of the Clemson game, it's going to be a long season.
Very true. Very true. But anyway, North Carolina gets the win 20-3. They're in the win column. They get to come back home. Hopefully everything's going to be okay with Chris Culliver. We'll be keeping an eye on his injuries, see what's going on with him. And we'll be getting ready for Richmond next week as well. It's going to be an interesting week. Excited to see what Bill Belichick's got to say in the post-game press conference and everything else. So I'm looking forward to how this team continues to respond and how they continue to gain continuity throughout both offense and defense. So, by the way, special teams, Tom McGinnis had a great night tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been one of his biggest naysayers.
Yes, I have been too.
McGinnis put on a punting clinic tonight, I would say.
Yeah, he got
multiple punts inside the 20 and at the 20. And then when he had to, put it out there, 50 yards, he was able to do that too. So hopefully he can take this game and build off it and, give us a more consistent punting game because North Carolina's really struggled last season in the punting when it comes to punting. And,
you know what?
That was big.
The punting game tonight was a big time assistance to Carolina. They needed some long punts.
Yeah.
Making Charlotte have to drive further. And it may be just that little bit extra that Carolina was able to find an answer to get Charlotte off the field.
Yeah.
So that was big time then for him tonight. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you all for being here. Let us know what you guys think about this North Carolina football team down there in the comments. As we were doing the watch party, a lot of fun, spicy comments started coming in. So we know you guys got them. Let them out on us. Let us know exactly what you're thinking. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do the whole thing, man. We want to continue to enjoy football season. We want to continue doing that with you guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being here. And as always,
go Heels.